Australian businesses are increasingly making green IT a priority, according to research from Symantec. It found that 97% of respondents were at least considering a more sustainable strategy. Business Channel reporter Lisa Creffield asked Symantec MD Craig Scroggie about the survey.
The key findings were organisations, 97% of organisations in the survey were investing in IT. They're thinking about IT. 54% of those actually didn't have a strategy in place, but they are thinking about the investments that they need to make in sustainability.
What's motivating companies to be greener?
Organisations are predominantly being driven by the financial returns, and that is that better sustainability practices mean lower operating costs. They mean lower carbon emissions, and organisations are certainly investing in green practices to reduce the cost and complexity of managing their infrastructure.
Data centres are notoriously power hungry. How can they be made greener?
Organisations are adopting practices like replacing their old equipment for the more power hungry processors and more power hungry disk systems and air conditioners with more energy efficient equipment. They're also looking at adopting practices like server virtualisation. They're reducing the complexity and the number of those servers, so consolidation of server infrastructure is also an area where they're both reducing the power that's consumed and reducing the amount of carbon that is emitted.
Were there any results that you found particularly surprising?
I think what is interesting is that organisations are also thinking about new business models. So software as a service was seen as a way to reduce or to be green. So organisations are looking at new business models and software as a service as a way to reduce their carbon footprint.
So how much is power usage awareness growing?
When you think in the context of who's consuming electricity, with IT now paying the power bill, there's two major considerations. One is the electricity that's consumed in the data centre, the other is the electricity that's consumed by PCs. Now, organisations today are looking for a way to be able to measure how much money and how much carbon is emitted by each of those areas. And we are able to help them look at both the carbon and the power consumption in the data centre and in their PC fleets. Many people leave the office at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, they go home, they don't turn off their PCs or shut down their monitors. One of the things we're able to do is help those companies understand how much they can actually reduce their electricity bill and their carbon footprint by shutting down those machines when people go home or during non-business critical hours.
So how much do they save?
Some organisations, as much as 30 to 40% of their power and carbon is emitted during non-business hours. So if you're able to take the errors out of the management of those systems when you walk out, even if you forget to turn off your machine, the IT policies will ensure that the machine is shut down or goes to sleep mode for you.
Is the downturn having an impact on companies' sustainability budgets?
In this more challenging economic climate, it's interesting because customers unquestionably are telling us that they are being forced to do more with less. But those respondents in the survey said that their IT budgets for green initiatives are increasing by as much as 10%, and that they're also prepared to pay a premium for green technology. So for more energy efficient equipment that produces less carbon, they're prepared to pay as much as 10% or even more than 10% for equipment of an equivalent or greater functionality.
What kind of an impact is government regulation having?
Companies are certainly thinking about the implication that legislation will have on managing and measuring their carbon emissions. 86% of organisations in the survey said that the requirement to measure and monitor their carbon footprint was a major consideration in the initiatives that they were taking for green IT.
How does Symantec as a company try and be more green?
Across the organisation we use a number of these technologies. So in our own data centres we're using server virtualisation, we're consolidating and replacing outdated equipment with new energy efficient equipment. We also use that technology where we shut down our machines. We measure our power consumption. In the US alone, we reduced our power bill by more than $800,000 last year just by shutting down machines that were idle.
Stay with us. First Business continues after this short break.